Okay, in this section here, we're going to continue on with creating a randomness to our outer wall. I hope to use as the foundation for the rest of the map as to moving the art design from the outside inwards and uh, stepping away from the computer, something I decided that I'm going to go ahead and do moving forward. Obviously, I could change my mind again. Is to enclose the map and go with a full on light rendering, taking the lighting solution and baking it into the texture itself, not just piecemeal here and there, just to kind of balance things out, but do the entire map as a baked solution as far as the lighting solution goes. Which will mean that each and every surface in this map is going to have to be independent from one another, so to avoid overlapping onto the same UV mapping channels. So that's just kind of a heads up. But moving forward on here, as I mentioned in the last video, I want to snag this this edging on the bottom here, so it's continuous all the way around. So it gives it a kind of an interlock to the whole thing. And as I said and promised, I was going to demonstrate how we can do that by separating this from a texture and then applying that as a separate element. So it's the same as before. As I demonstrated, we want to select an edge here. We're going to do a ring, and then we're going to do a connect, and then we're going to preserve our mapping, UV mapping, so we don't cause any distortions. Then we're going to do a move, and then I'm going to pull that down to here. Okay, let's see where we're at there. So you can see that it creates an equal cut all the way around our map here. That's why we want to do things on the polygon level, not using triangles. Okay, so I think we're just about in here. We want a slight overlap because remember, we're going to have to pull back the UV mapping over top of that. So I'll go ahead and have that selected and then leave that there, and then I want to catch that edge there, and then I'm going to do a ring again, and as demonstrated in the last couple of videos back, if we hold the control key down while changing our sub object selection, it's going to select these faces within this region here. So I'm going to detach that. Okay, and I'm going to select that bottom edge. I hope I got it. Yes, I do. And I am going to see if I can figure out which one I want by using my eyedropper tool and selecting it. And I know that this has that nice little bottom edge there. So if I select that and use my select by ID tool, okay, let's take a look around what we got here. That happens to be the only one with that ID on it. So each time we add something. Okay, so that's, what was that again? Okay, hold on. Let's go back again. Okay. Okay, select ID2. That's this guy down here. Okay, I am going to select him over and pull him over here. That didn't work. I need to do it this way. I'm going to select that as a copy because I do not want that as an instance. Instance can be kind of strange, and map that to it. And I am going to do an unwrap, open it in my editor, and see what we got here. And it turned out pretty good. We got some faces that are off. I believe if we select this here and move that, no, that's okay. And then I want to get everything onto that area there, so I can move that a little bit more into position. As you can see though, a lot of that has been above that line. There's no, obviously didn't do a very good at aligning a lot of this stuff up. Okay, so we'll move this down a little bit more, and we'll select by edge, because we need to have that above the line. Okay, we want to keep these edges as much as possible the size as it is now. So if I select those vertices, I can use the vertical or horizontal align tool to align those up, and they just snap to that alignment along that line edge. And I'll do the same thing here again, and boom, we have both of our edges here on a straight line. So I'll bring that down. I'm noticing something flaky going on in here a bit. I don't think we have that all as one. And then we want to pull that down a little bit below that. Okay, so if we look around, we obviously have something off into space. There we go. That is weird because it should be... Oh, I see. Okay, it's actually above the vertical line. It's above that line, see? It's into that texturing there, so that's why it's off. So we can bring this down a little bit more in line. Once again, we just want to make sure we can catch the top part. And then we can catch this one over here, and we'll constraint to the vertical. Get everything in here. Okay. Now these little details here are going to be a lot of fun when we try to separate them for our lighting solution. So this is going to be somewhat of a time-consuming process once we get to that aspect of it. But I promise I'll save you from the suffering by just doing a lot of the this little stuff here. I'll do it off camera, just so we're not more or less demonstrating and repeating the same things over and over again. You know, I'll do as much as I can as to what is important and as to completeness. But there are just some things that are simply redundant. Okay. Oh, I thought by now I would have it all. Oops. Control Z out of that. Boy, that is one long line. So all these little individual elements will have to be broken down into bite-sized and hopefully equal sized pieces that can be fitted onto a single plane like this here. But as we are now done our edging all the way around, so let's convert this over to an editable poly, and I'll select the edge again and convert that over to face norms, and we want a slight extrusion on it, which we want to do by local normals, but we don't want it to be too much because we don't want too much in the way of overstretching. Like 10 is way too much. I want that just to be enough to give a kind of a detached effect from the wall surface here. Okay, let's set this to 1. 1 gives us enough of an edge to create kind of uh, oh, I don't know, kind of a lighting effect across that. Oop, okay, we don't need that. We need that. Okay, and deselect that. And there we go. Let's see how that would look. I'll select that. Where are we as far as connecting this stuff up? It's starting to look like something. That little edging there makes quite a bit of difference. I'm quite pleased with how that turned out. Okay, so guess what? We go back to the same boring paste in process, and hopefully we can get this done in the next 20 minutes. I wouldn't count on it though. Okay, let's bring up my thumbs manager just to clarify once again. We're working from a text our texturing palette here, if you want to call it that. Okay, and we're just going to go ahead now and throw on some more textures. Okay, let's turn that off. That actually looks good enough the way it is. Okay, but just to show you an option of how you can use the same texture but make it look different as a trick, just grab it and rotate it, and now it looks different. We'll rotate it again, and it looks different. Well, it definitely looks different. Rotate it again, and it looks different. I think in options wise, let's check our preference here. Use constant updates in the viewport. Okay, we'll just leave that in the upright position here. But you can, if we don't want this to look like it is on the other side, heck, let's do that. Let's go ahead and select this, just to kind of show off the intuitiveness. We don't want that to match up. We can select that, do an unwrap, open in the UV channel. We'll select our section here. Boom, totally different looking texture from the opposite side. Well, not really, but nobody will notice. Okay, convert over to edible poly, continuing on, and we'll select that. And okay, let's just grab something at random and see what happens. Yeah. Okay, so once we get this all kind of unified onto a single sheet, we can then, I'm going to add even more little small micro detailing changes that will make each surface look uniquely different. Here's another one. Let's throw in this one here. Okay, repeating pattern on it. We want to avoid repeating patterns. They just kind of jump out at you. And where are we? There we are. Okay, might as well scoot that over. I'll take you, constraint. Okay, let's find a kind of happy medium. Oh, that turned out nice. That little corner, it's got grunge in the corner. That looks good. Okay, we'll put bullet holes and stuff in it. Coming along nicely. Let's go over here for now. Let's see what we can do with that guy. Throw that on there. Yeah. Well, we got this kind of ugly seam here, but you know, once we consolidate, we'll fix that with Photoshop. you. Find which one do we want to use? Let's try. I haven't used this one in a while. Yucky. Just what we wanted. Got a little small base there. What we should have done was this. Oh, that's no good. Saved it. That's what happened last time. That's why I lost all the IDs. Let's get you, throw you on there, do an unwrap. Select that edge. Use the seam weld, and we have a match. Okay, got a panel there. There's probably an easier way to do UV map. I probably could work the stack, leave the edit poly modifier, just work up and down. But I find this one here, just doing a wash and rinse is it keeps things kind of safe and orderly. Do things in a within a process like this is you can't really go wrong. It's almost foolproof kind of idea rather than jumping up and down the stack. I'm pretty sure somebody would say different, but yeah. Huh, we don't have too many left, do we? Yeah, this one over here is like, nobody knows that. Okay. And we'll select this guy here. Yeah. If I'd known I was going to be doing this, I would have probably gone out and find some old beat up house or something and gathered my own textures. But these will do the job. Okay. And do we have okay, select this guy here. How come I got double textures here? It's like I didn't get all the ones I want. Yeah, that looks good. I'll leave that like that is. I wonder what would look like if I actually stretched it out a bit. Hmm. Okay. Oops. What are we doing on time here? Doing fine. Yeah, it's kind of disconnected here. close. I think I'll do this as a pair, the last one. And we'll throw that one on there. And we'll do an edit modifier, edit UV map modifier to be precise. And we'll dial in. Okay. Once we get this part out of the way, things should be a lot easier to talk about about different things while I'm doing this. Once we get to the inner walls. Okay. I think we are there. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Let's get that out of the way. Yeah, so much for that. I'll put some sort of lighting setup in here, some half decent lighting setup. But I think we got it done. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why it's not. Oh, I know why. Okay, customize rendering exposure control is activated. That should do it. Okay, I think we're finished up on that part of it. And I would call the outer side of the outer walls here as our base more or less done. Yeah, okay, so we'll call this an early one here. And and just thinking about what we should do in the next section. Um, the floor. I'm going to be painting on the floor, so I'm not going to be too overly concerned about it's already more or less random as it is, and I'm probably going to send that out as a unified texture image. Mm, probably going to put a roof on it at some point, but not too sure at the moment how I'm going to tie it in. Oh, excuse me. But like I said, a lot of times you can do your best designs away from the computer. So uh, mm, this is like I've done all these six sections in the last couple of hours, one after the other. So I'm getting a little tired here. You can probably hear it in my voice by now. So I think I'm going to call this quits for the day. This is about, no, I don't know, about 2.5 hours worth of work, or 2 hours worth of work, something like that. Well, you saw how long it took to do it. So we're in pretty good shape here. So I'm going to give it some thought of what I'm going to be doing as the next step, because you can get into a position where it becomes a little bit more difficult to sort of start backing things out a bit, especially when you start committing your textures to some kind of lighting solution. Um, there's it can get a little bit confusing if we have to keep popping out of order to fix stuff. So I would rather do is have everything at least a little bit pre-planned. I know I can get out of it. It's just that we don't want to get into an hour and a half and then all of a sudden say, "Whoops, okay, we got to back up now. We painted ourselves into a corner." But you know, um, boy, I'm really starting to like that kind of effect. Well, what I'm doing right now is I'm kind of visualizing, things like maybe putting a window in here, or we obviously need some sort of, a doorway. It's going to be a closed doorway, but there has to be some sense of entry point into it. um, and trying to think of, the skybox and behind it, trying to visualize it a little bit. And okay, anyways, enough general chit chat. We're going to call this one done and move on to the next one.